Hello, it's Daniel, and welcome back. I am following up with you after the Free Yourself from Unseen Blocks mini course because I want to invite you to come on a little journey with me to release yourself from some of your unseen blocks, to be able to embody more of who you really are, have more of what you really want in life. And no matter how difficult or maybe impossible it seemed in your life up until now, to get past something or to create something in your life, to give yourself another chance. Because what I'm teaching are tools and techniques that you probably are not aware of. I wasn't aware of them either until 5 or 6 years ago, and have been using them in my life to incredible success in my own life of getting past some very old, very stubborn blocks in my life. And I've been now using them with clients for a few years and helping them to get into places in their own lives that sometimes they wanted but didn't know how to get, and in other cases had no idea was coming. So, what do I mean by that? So, one client who now, after working with her for a while, is literally living on the other side of the planet, doing work that she never even imagined that she'd be doing, opening up to entirely new vistas, doors opening up for her because her creativity, her passion is able to express itself now that she's taken care of situations in her life outside and internal beliefs about herself that are no longer getting in the way. I have another client who is now beginning to feel in such a way where she can find herself being able to embrace relationship in a new way. I have another client who I love working with because um, he's quite intellectual. So he's a business guy and he basically thinks for a living. And so in a session when I can drop him into his body, get him to use his imagination and go on a little journey and find himself at a place he never knew existed, but which makes sense out of so much in his life. But the making sense out of it can be the booby prize. The beauty about these tools, these techniques of using the body, accessing the unconscious computer that lives inside us, is that when we do that and we are able to change that story, which is what these techniques do, then as you return to life, move on with your life after that session, after that healing session, you're a different person. You're coming from a different place inside yourself. That block is no longer there that you didn't even know was there in the first place. And so therefore when the unconscious computer that's running our lives 90+% of the time, actually just stop and let that in for a second because I kind of take that for granted in a certain way, but most of us don't realize that almost all of what we do, we think we're consciously controlling, but it's not true. It's simply not true. But there's so much that operates in the background, unconsciously, not in our ability to see or be aware of it, which is running the show. So some of that, thank God it does that, because we don't know how to control a lot in our body. There are certain things that we do all day long over and over that we don't need to be thinking consciously about. But there's other things, other ways of seeing ourselves, of reading and responding to a situation, of already determining what's possible and not possible for ourselves or a situation that's operating out of our ability to see it, but is literally controlling what we experience, what we can experience in life. So I'm going to invite you to come and join me on this course where I'm going to be teaching tools and techniques. I'm going to go away for 2 weeks, practice them, come back. We're going to talk about them. I'm going to be able to coach you on how they're playing out, how your life is playing out. Also, in the intervening period, teach you some new tools and techniques, go off for another 2 weeks, practice them, come back. The beauty about this is I'm able to give in a group setting. It'll likely be a small group. In a group setting, what I'm able to do, what I do one-on-one, but do it for a fraction of the cost. Send you off on your own, ready and knowing what to do, give you an ability to be in touch with me during the intervening time if you have any questions about how things are going, and then come back. And then we have the community, probably a small group of us, And the beauty about shared intention of a community is it heightens our ability to go deeper. It heightens our ability to tune into another field because we come together in the shared intention to do so. So so check out more details. There's more details here for you to access and to look at. And I'm going to invite you to sign yourself up. Come and join me. Come and join this small collection of us that are ready to make a change, to be a different person, to show up for yourself in a different way. That's all you need is the willingness, the desire to do that. I've got the tools, I've got the techniques. We're going to create the crucible for magic to happen, for alchemy to happen. And for you at the end of this short course, there'll be 4 sessions spread out over 2 weeks in between, so over 7 weeks, really find yourself in a different place in yourself, which is showing itself to you because you're showing up in life in a different way. Life is occurring for you differently because you're using these non-rational, body-based energetic tools to access the non-conscious aspects of us and, in essence, reprogram the computer. Actually, it's like an antivirus system. I never thought of it that way. But it's like going in there and pulling out the viruses that got programmed in there over the course of our lives, whether we knew it or not. Whether we knew it or not. So just to finish up, I want to share with you something that for me in my, I do this work pretty much every day in one form or fashion for myself. And so this morning, what was interesting is I was processing through some energy, which, because of the nature of what I do, I'm able to access information and images and messages quite easily. You don't need to do it with these techniques, which is beautiful. You actually don't need to understand anything. You just need to show up and do the technique, be there for the energy, and process it on out. Most time people get information about where that energy comes from or some understanding, but the understanding is absolutely unnecessary, thank God. But this morning, what I was seeing was energy that I had internalized in my mother's womb. In my mother's womb. And then I could see it play out over time, and how it had played out in so many relationships in my life. This sense of being responsible, of feeling personally responsible for the well-being of others in a way where I was taking responsibility for their experience of life. So this is an issue that a lot of people that are empathic have. From a psychological perspective, they call it codependence. It tends to put you in relationship with people that are in the spectrum of narcissism, which is something that I've been dealing with in my life for my whole life. Which, as I've done this work, so this kind of work that I'm going to be teaching you in this course, I was first exposed to a lot of it as I was leaving a relationship 5 years ago and realizing that I was putting myself in this, I had put myself in this relationship and kept myself in the relationship to my detriment because it was serving something in me. Sounds crazy, but it was. And so what I was able to do is get in and access those belief systems, the energy of shame, of pain that were needing to be brought to light to move them on out. It got me out of that relationship. It got me out of that time in my life. And now more recently having to go to a deeper level as those kind of dynamics were playing out in other ways, not as obvious, but still playing out and diving deeper. As I'm diving deeper, it's amazing the amount of freedom that I'm experiencing internally, which is playing itself out in the outer world. So these tools I feel passionate about because in a certain way, they've kind of saved my life. They've freed me up from old patterns that I saw this morning and I've seen before go to past lives, but go back to the very beginning of my life in this time around. These belief systems that I totally unconsciously took on. but you access the energy, you release it, you change the programming of the computer. Then what happens is, as you encounter life day to day moving forward now, when the non-conscious goes through to process the information to know how to respond in this moment, it doesn't go through those old filters because they're not there anymore, which leaves you free to respond from a deeper part of yourself, the authentic part of yourself, the part of you that's most connected to where you came from, to where we all come from. So come and join me. It's time. It's time to make that shift in your life you've been trying to make or you've been dying to make and haven't known how. I have a number of my clients that have done therapy for years, helped them tremendously. Therapy's wonderful, but it only takes you a certain distance. It only takes you a certain distance because it's requiring you to access in a certain way these patterns. These tools go completely around the backside, to put it in a certain way, completely around the backside. So you're not needing to access the rational part of us. We're not needing to force ourselves to drag up memories. We're not needing to force ourselves to drag up emotions. We turn the process over to the part of us that actually knows what happened when, where to go to find it, and how to release it. I can teach you how to do this. I want to help you to free to have your best life. So check it out, sign up. This class is going to be starting very soon. Don't miss out. So here's to your best life. Come join me.